Okay, so in this video, I'll discuss um, how you can import data sets into R. Okay, so basically, when you have a data set, um, let's say in Excel or test, or it's online, or yeah, or you collect it from, a company and it's in another um, um, program like maybe SPSS, SAS, and so forth. You don't necessarily have to retype everything into R. You can actually read it straight away into R and then use it to do or your analysis or anything you want to do. Okay, so first of all, how do we import it? Okay, so I'll start first with A, when we have a test document, so a test file. So a test file will be like a notepad. Okay, so a notepad, like when you go to your laptop, you say notepad. It's like this. So when you have something like this on a notepad, what do you do? Okay, now what I'm going to do is in part, first of all, we will create a data set common so that we can all use it. Okay, so we'll copy it and paste it in Notepad. And then when we finish, we'll do one from Excel and then a CSV file. And then also um, when you have like a data online, how do you read it and so forth. So basically that's what we will be um, doing. But I must stress that there are so many ways you can use to read data set into R. Okay. So first of all, let's go back to R. Okay. And take our a package, the package called the Anorasia. Sorry, the mass package. So let's see. So mine is already ticked. So if yours is not ticked, you need to tick it. Okay. Now in Anorasia, sorry, in mass, there is a data set called Anorasia. So I want us to look at the Anorasia data set. And so just as soon as you start typing, Anorasia comes, you click on it, and it displays the data set in R like this. So there we have it. Okay. So this is a data set, okay, consisting of 3 columns, okay, and the columns are the variables, as we know. These are the variables. Okay. Okay. So now we can also look at the help files for Anorasia so that we know what this data set is about. Okay, so now it says Anorasia is in what package? It's in the mass package. It's Anorasia data on weight change. Okay, so this data set is a data frame that has 72 rows and 3 columns. Remember, the columns are what? The variables that we are dealing with, right? And the rows are the individuals. So the first individual was given the control group, so meaning the person was not given any medication or whatever. Or if you are even giving medication, that medication it does not contain any active ingredient. In this case, the weight gain program. So people who have eating deficiencies, they were given some 3 treatments, so either control, which means you have nothing, cognitive behavioral treatment, and then family treatment. Okay, so that's the sort of data that we have. Now, first of all, I'm going to create a folder. Okay, so if we're in a class, we have already created a folder. Then you need to go to session and then set your working directory to the source folder. Okay, so in this case, I am using up to 602 2022 and so forth. So if yours is 302 or 240 or what have you, if you have created that folder, just put your working directory, set your working directory there. You can go to choose working directory and then you navigate to the folder you want it to be. Now, why is this important? It is important because if we put our data in that folder and our R resides in that folder, then we can read the data straight away from there. It doesn't mean that you cannot read your data when it is not in that particular folder. It can, but it means you need to put all the file path. Okay, so for example, if I am using a file in, let's say, this folder, I have to go here and copy the address as test, and then I come to R. So if I want to read it, if I paste this, you see it's a long address. You don't want to worry yourself with something. So it is important that you just let your R reside in the folder where your data will be. Okay. So now that we understand that, let's now copy the data that we displayed in R. Actually, I can also write it into that folder. Okay. So in the same way that you can input or import the data, you can also export with just the write function file. Okay, so my X is just the anorexia. Okay, so if I do this, you can go to file. Okay, there are two, right? There are two basic ways I can do. Either I create it myself or I can write it myself over there. Okay, so the file is anorexia, and the file is how do you want to store it in there. So there I want to store it at anorexia, or let's say my anorexia. Then you need the file extension that txt. Okay. So I write this. Okay, so this didn't work. Anorexia. Okay, so let's just go here, do the other way around. Okay, so in that way, I will just copy this. Okay, copy this entire data set. So it's highlighted. So I'll copy from here. Oh. So I want to copy this and paste it in a. Okay, so I should start from the down one. Okay, so there, okay. So I copy this, I paste it in R. So I look for my, paste it in Notepad, right? Okay, then remember that this will be a data frame. So it's more or less like a rectangular data. So I cannot leave that place empty, but whatever that I do, I must also, because I did two steps, okay, if I start typing, it goes two steps, so I must go back and then do those two steps as well. If you like, you can also take that one off. Let's say the naming, you can take it off, then you don't have any problem. But it means that when you finish reading it, you need to what? You need to name it yourself. Okay. So what do? I'll go to the folder. I'll save this in the folder that I'm dealing with. Okay. I'll save it in the folder that I'm dealing with. So you have to go and navigate through your folder, right? Navigate to the folder that you are dealing with, and then you save it. Okay, so it was actually written. Remember that even though okay, so the problem was that, you see, this one, because it was writing it, it's unable, R will only take rectangular data set. Okay, so because this one was missing, that number that I put over there was missing, That's why I was having problems. So it's actually, even though we had that warning, it was actually written. So we can go in there and see my anorexia. So instead of saving, I'm not going to save, but now I can click on this. Okay, so even though it was saved, it couldn't. It couldn't actually. So I can just paste this in there like that. Then I have my um my so as I was saying, it is because of this that the right did not work. Okay, so here we have to, and you see, as soon as I start typing, look at it, the trees will start moving to the right. Okay, and so it moves to the right 2 times. So I need to close that space so that everything aligns equally. Okay. So then now I can save. Okay. So my anorexia is now saved. I can click or I can close it. And then if I come and open it now, you see it has number, it has trees and so forth. So it's easy now. So this is serving as a data set that we have um, obtained from somewhere, okay, maybe from a company or maybe an experimental design, and then we got it. So this can be somebody from nutrition department who is looking at how to, um, um, put some intervention in people who have eating disorders. Okay, so if we have this data, how do we read it into R so that we will be in a position to analyze it? So that's the thing we want to do. So I'll teach you different ways, but you take the one that you will be comfortable with. Okay. So first of all, one of the easiest one is that I can, and this works for any data set that you are dealing with. So I can do Control A and copy this data. Once I copy it, it comes to my clipboard, right? We call clipboard. So that's the temporary holding area if you copy any data, regardless of wherever, whether Excel or Notepad or R that you are using on your computer. So once I have it in my clipboard, then what I need to do is that I need to read the data into R. Okay, so should I say, okay, we said test, right? Um, so with a test, okay, test I can read, for example, I can use in clipboard. Okay, so I can use a clipboard. In other words, copy it and then I read it straight away. So maybe I want to call this my annual clip. Okay, so this is how I want to name my data. Now, what I'm going to use to read is called, or read the data, is called read dot table. So the function read dot table is what I'm going to use to do this way. So first of all, I want to know what it is. Okay, so I go to the help file. So read dot table is a function for reading table. There are so many arguments that you can explore as to how to read them. So many, so many. Okay, so when you have a data set, if it is separated by commas, if it is separated by hashtag, what have you, you can still read it. Okay, so it's up to you to read, to have a look at this. But here, I am going to use the first two. I can use the first three, but it's okay. It's redundant, so I can just use the first two arguments. So I copy and I paste here, and then I do this. So I'm going to explain what this is. Okay, so the file, okay, file, what is my file now? The file I'm reading from is the clipboard, okay? Remember, and this must be spelled correctly, otherwise it won't. So clipboard, all in small letters, okay? Now, the second argument is header. Remember that our data, if you go to our data, it has header is equal to what? It has header. That's what we did. The header, the first one is number, the next one is treat, pre-weight and post-weight. So it means that we must provide what? A header. And that header, is it true or false? It's true that we have a header. So I put true there. So now I'm in a position to read that data. If there was no header, I would have said header is false, and that's it. Okay, all right. incomplete final line found on clipboard. Okay, let me go back and check if let me see. Okay, so let me copy again and redo this again, whether I'll get this. Okay, so now it's better because I did not copy it correctly. Okay, so now if I display this, I'm going to get, you see, just that noisia that we had is the same thing. Okay, it's the same thing. The only thing that changes is that now we have number because we copied the number that are, but I will automatically give it line 1, line 2, line 3. But in this case, my annual clip contains a number, which is the number of the participant. You know, in this case 42. So that's one way to do it. Now the second way is through that we can read it straight away from we're using read.table, but not clipboard, but the name of the file. To do this, you need a file path. And this is what I was explaining earlier, that you see, if the data set is in another folder, then I need to go and say the file path, go and copy the file path. So for example, if the file is here, I need to copy the file path as test, and then I can use the same read.table, but now I need to give it a file path. So my annual file, okay, will then be read.table. So similarly, read.table, okay, read.table. Then my file is now equal to, and you will see what will happen. It will be so long, okay? You don't want this, you know, you don't want to be shifting your cursor through here and there. So that's why I don't advise that, but rather you name the data within your distance, so it becomes easier. So once you do that, all you need to know is to go and see how did you save your data. It's my anorexia. So my anorexia then .txt, because this is what a text file. Okay. Then of course, remember that we had header. So remember in this data, your header is true, right? So header, your header is equal to true. Okay. And that's it. So we can read this straight away. And that also reads it. So if we look at my annual file, it's there straight away. So that's how you read the data set into R if it is a text file. Now this is important because it helps you in I mean not wasting, but saving so much time and so forth. Okay. Now secondly, we can also read data set. Okay, so we've done a test file. I'm just going to do website because the website one, you can also easily read it using either copying it and pasting it as a text and read it, or you can read it straight away from online. Okay, so first of all, it's a test file, and then B, a URL. If you have the URL, then you can use it. So let's go and look for a data set. Okay. Now, so in Google, just type statistics of streams, theory and applications like this that I have done. Okay. Now, if you scroll down, if you are using Google, then the first 2 or 3, you will see this https ku11.be. Okay, so if you click on it, it will send you to the site of your book. Okay, so you come to this book, which is in statistics of extremes. Okay, now scroll down. If you scroll down, you will see this data, which is SOA data. So the SOA data is like this. Okay, so now you see this is the URL page to this data set. Okay, we are lucky because this is stored as text, even though it's online. Okay, so we can easily copy the URL. So you click on this, you copy, and then you come to R. So when you come to R, all you do is that maybe my SOA. Okay, my SOA is what? So you can use read.table, read.table, read.table. Okay. Now your file is now a URL, right? But you just put it here, just like I have done. Okay. URL like that. Okay. And then comma, then you can bring it down. So header. So here, look at it. Do you have header? There's no header. So what are you going to do? You are going to say header is false. But remember that that's the default. So I may not even do it at all. And remember, I can just use F as well, okay, to do that. So I do this, and the data is quite huge, so it takes a bit of time. So now I have my SOA. Okay. If I want to check whether this has worked well, I can just plot it to see how this data set is. So my SOA, there it is. Okay. And it reads it as a data frame. So you need to do V1 and so forth. So in other words, if I want to see what this data set looks like, I can do my SOA. Okay, so if you look at it, you see it's a data frame with what V1, column V1. So that's why column is a variable, so variable V1. So that's what I've done this. So I can now plot this, okay, and then I see the plot. So this is how the SOA data. It's actually data on insurance claims, very large insurance claims. And as you can see, it's in millions, right? And so forth. So that's how you can read from URL. Sometimes the data set may not be arranged this way. Okay, so in that case, you can just copy, right? Okay, so let me see, GitHub, let me, okay. So this I can show you the okay, so this something like this, okay. If I want to read it, you can get a raw data, okay, like this, and then you read it into R. This is also text. Okay, now I'll show you. If you do this, if you want to read this, you need to go to GitHub. So GitHub is a database that you can create your own site and be able to upload data. So mostly my class, I can upload data there, either for exercise or sometimes in examinations, right, for you to do it. But I want to show you some of the problems you may encounter. So this one, I've copied the URL code. Okay, so here, this is data, obesity data, the obesity data. So I can go through it this way, right? The same way that we talked about. Let me just put this thing here, and then I go and copy this one. So this will just be my obesity. So I need to change the URL to what I copied from there. Okay. So the URL should be different. Okay. So okay. So I need to put that URL here, which is quite long. You can't break it. If you break it, it won't. So this one is less. It's not every time that you have to say mine, or I'm just using it. It's just name, so you can change it. So if I do this, I have to go and check whether do I have. So this one, I have a header, state and what, percent. Okay. So what I need to do is that header should be equal to true. Okay. So then I do that. Okay, so if you look at this, it tells you that line 9 did not have two elements. Okay, so it means it can either have more or less. So let me go in and check what really is happening. So if you look at it, it should be this one. So look at this. We have Washington, comma, DC 22. Each of these, Alabama is 32.2, this one. So once you get comma like this, it means this is about 3. Okay, so these ones are 2 columns, this one has 3 columns, it won't work. Okay, but it doesn't mean that you can't do anything about it. Okay, so what you need to do is that in this case, you need to copy your data into, let's say, Excel, and take out the commas from it so that, or replace the commas with underscore so that, because I cannot read, data set in which one is 2 column or one has 2 this and the other doesn't. You either have to put in any so that it will tell out that this is a missing value before it will work. So the easiest way to go around this is that you can get your data into either Word or Notepad and so forth. This one is not that much, so I can afford to do this. So you see West Virginia, because there's a space, it won't work. So I can just put underscore for each of them that has 2. So South Dakota 2, I'll do the same thing. South Carolina, I'll do the same thing. And yeah, so wherever I see 2 things like that, what do? I insert an underscore. Okay, this will help me so that the names are read as just 1 and not 2. Okay, and not 2 columns. Okay, so just 1 column. So each of these, so once we do it like this, what happens is that they are together, right? It's just one word. Okay, Nevada, this is okay, Mrs. Massachusetts, that's okay, Kentucky, okay, Washington, D.C. So I need that, and I think that is all. Okay, so now I can save this as the obesity data. So I can go to the same folder that I have my this thing, and then call it obesity. Okay, dot test. Then I save it. So now that I have done that, it's easy. I can just, instead of reading from here, I'm going to read what? My obesity. All right. So now it should work because we've done um, all those. So now I can read my obesity there. Okay, so if I do this and show it, there it is. There it is. So it's now done nicely. Okay. If I want to see this, I can look at it and see whether um, yeah. So the percentage, I can look at it like this. So that's the percentage of each and the obesity this in that particular this hour. So now URL, we can do it and so forth. The third one that I want to talk about is Excel. Let's see from Excel. Okay. Okay. So from the text file as well, let me also add this. Another easy way to do it is through here. Okay, so I can say from text, so you can read it straight away too by just click. So instead of using read.table, so let me just add it. The text I. So let me just add I. Using import from the environment. So if you look at your environment, you can use this to import the data set. So you just click on import. This is from test, okay, test file. So you click on that. You look for my anorexia, right? There, like that. And then it displays like this. So this is quite easy to do it. And then you import it like this. Okay, there it is. So it's as simple as that. It gives you my anorexia, and it's you see here, because I already have named my anorexia as one. So this one uses what read.csv. So the same way that we do read.table, you can also read using what read.csv. So it's the same thing. So see what it did. It took the entire file path to that folder. in order to read it from it. So that's another way of reading the text file. So using import from, then you go there. So what we are going to do next from Excel, we are going to also use import from Excel. Of course, we can also use read.csv. So it's just like the same way. If you have SPSS, you can do it. If you have SAS, you can do it. If you have Stata, you can also do it. For other programming languages, you can also check using other packages that can be installed in R. Okay. So lastly, let's say from Excel. Okay. So how do we do it? Let's create an Excel folder. So Excel. Okay. So Excel. Um, so our Excel folder, we can just get a data set. Let me see. So I have a data set from here. Okay. This is the anorexia. So I can just paste the anorexia over here. Remember that when you do this, it comes to it's just one column. So if you look at it, all the data set comes to one column. You can't, this is not how a data set should look like. Number should be on one column, street should be another column. So maybe A should be number, B should be all, C should be the pre-weight, and D should be, it's not like that. So what you have to do is in Excel is that you go to data. So the same way we copy the data from URL and then we pasted it in we put it in the notepad. We can do it in Excel as well. Just that in Excel, to put it in one column. And once you finish, you need to go to text to column. Sorry. So text to column is this. Okay. So then it comes here. Okay. So it says fixed. So delimited. So I can go to delimited. Sorry. I need to select the entire data. So the entire data. Then I go to text to column. Okay. So it comes like this. And then either fixed or delimited. So this one away. If it doesn't work, you can go back and use delimited, right? But this one is a number, pre-weight, post-weight is done. Okay, so you move to the next one. Okay, now, okay, so what we need to do is that it should be able to, okay, yeah. Okay, so there it is. Okay, so now we have it like this: number, street, pre-weight, post-weight, like that. So we have this data set in Excel. So what can we do? We can save this data set in the folder that we are dealing with as well. Okay, so I browse. Okay, I look for the folder that I'm dealing with. Okay, and then I can save it my Excel Arnold. Okay, something like that. So I save it. Okay, now we can go to the folder and check. My Excel Arnold is there. It should be there. Oh, sorry, it's not this one. So my Excel Arnold is there. Okay, so look at this. You see, there's the same data in test, it's 2 kilobytes, but in Excel, it is what, 11 kilobytes, which is about 6 times the size, right, of the data. So it is not advisable to be saving your Word your data set in Excel, okay, especially when you have a large data set, because it doesn't help to give you a large data set. So what you can do is that instead of saving it as an Excel access file, okay, so you see the type is my Excel worksheet, you can actually save it as a .csv file, comma separated. So here you can go and then you say save a copy. See, so this is what we have, x.xlxx, but that saves the data with a large, it occupies a larger size. So what you can do is to look through and look for CSV, this one, comma, delimited, like this. Okay, so I can save it as the same, at the same name, okay, because they use what, different extensions. So I can save it like that. If I go to the folder, okay, remember that I have what? My Excel annual, which is the Excel is this. Then I have, let me, refresh it. Yeah, refresh it for it to stay. Okay, so I now have my Excel annual as well, which is Microsoft Excel, comma separated. Look at the kilobyte. It's 2. Okay, so it's like you reduce the size by about 6. I mean, a factor of about 6. Okay, that's how when you save it as CSV, how it reduces the size instead of Excel worksheet. Yeah. Okay. So how do we do this as well? Easy. We can go to import, okay, and then we say my Excel and so forth. So you browse, okay, you go and look for, and this one will read only Excel. So it's not a comma separated, but rather Excel Excel. If you have not done this before, it will install this, okay, these um, packages, Excel, before you'll be able to do so. So you must be connected to the internet the first time before you can do that. Okay. So then import. Once you click on import, it imports the data into R as my Excel.ano and so forth. If you want to read the .csv, you just need to use this. So you can just use the read.csv or even read.table will work, but the easiest one is just read.csv. Okay. And then your file is the CSV file, and the CSV file is called my annual, my Excel annual. So you just say my Excel annual, but dot was CSV. Okay, and header is true in this case. So you do it like that. My obesity is now like that, okay, even though it's anorexia and so forth. Yeah. So this we should say is how you can read data sets from other um, um, packages or in other areas into R. Okay. Thank you. So that brings us to the end of this discussion on reading or importing data into R.